Okay, so we're back with the hot press, 140-pound arches. And we're going to be painting with the FW liquid acrylic. So I'm going to go ahead and do the black. I don't have my pre-made gray wash that I used for the rest of this, but I figure I have some water. Got this guy, and see if we can make a gray wash, and it matches everything else. On the Cobra, I didn't have the gray wash either, and I kind of just winged it, like using the rinse water. It's not very even. I might touch some of that up. All right, let's get to it. My dog is behind me. If he starts chewing on the bones, making weird sounds, I might have to get him out of here, but we'll see. Let's shake it up. Get that pigment mixed in there. Got my brushes. Got a number 4 round liner, number 4 filbert shader tip. Get the brush wet first. I got my paper towel here. Don't want it too wet, just enough so the paint can kind of travel up into the bristles, brush bristles, I guess. Is that what they're called? All right, I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna go what's easiest. Usually it's better to pull a fade away with the brush like that. So I'm just gonna start here and then start moving the paper around. I don't want too much paint on the brush. Kind of helps to like outline next to the line and then fill it in. That way your hand's not moving around and cross over the line. And now doing a fade with liquid acrylic is different from the watercolor because it's going to dry water fast, which means that once it starts to get dry, you're not adjusting that fade anymore. With watercolor, you can go back and like touch it up if you need, but once this dries, it's done. So I'm gonna do like about an inch long fade here. Same thing, not too much water, just enough to get that edge liquefied. So now we got the gray pulled out, but there's a line. Cleaning the brush before it dries completely. Just kind of erase that line. Kind of went into the belly here a little bit. Sometimes you can kind of erase it a little bit. It's not too dry. Solomon, quit licking yourself. It's gross. People don't want to hear it. All right, now let's bring it down here. Just enough so it's wet and covers the area, but it's not like a puddle of paint. The first few fades of a painting are usually kind of like sort of feeling it out. And blend it together there. And then the fade eventually will reveal itself once it dries. And sometimes it looks really good. Sometimes you feel like you might need to touch it up a little bit if it's not a smooth gradient, if it's just too harsh of a transition. It was a little harsh there, but okay, let's see. What else can I do from this? How about right here? And I know I want the fade about here. So I'm going to bring the black all the way down close to where that's going to be. And eventually there's going to be another fade like this, kind of. So, but for now I'm just going to do one this way, and then I'll blend the two together later. That should be good. All right, time to clean. Here we go. Call that good. All right, what else can I fade? Let's do like right here. Coming this way. Now I know eventually I'm gonna kind of pull from there, so I'm not going to go too far over in this area. Ooh. And this one's gonna like, the snake is twisting around here, so I'm gonna bring it like that. Let's do this one, and then once I come over here, we'll blend them together. A little bit too much water there, but I felt it, and that didn't let it bleed out too much. These types of fades where it's like you're doing like a U shape like that, I think is the hardest to do. Like on a rose petal, doing that kind of like outward rounded fade. It's way easier to do straight. Some painters like a lot of water and a lot of paint to do like a large gradiency, but I kind of like keeping it as dry as possible while still being able to like fade out. Probably takes longer because you're like, I'm constantly going back and like kind of touching up the fade line, but that's just how I've figured out how to do it. That's probably cool. We'll let it dry and maybe come back to it later. Or right now. Okay, now let's see. I'm gonna hit this one here. I'm really far away from the design because the paper's long. And I'm trying to keep the design under the camera. Dried right there already, so I got to get it wet again. If you paint too much, it's gonna dry, and when it dries, you can't fade it out. I'd say that's good. It's a little weird here. Cool. I'd say that's good. Let's see. I'm going to do the spots. So the spots are going to be faded black up. So I can do some of that too. Let's see. Bottom, 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 bottom. Yeah, so let's go this one. Snakes can get confusing of which way the direction of travel is, but you always want to have the, you know, consistent directionality of like the scales or anything. A tricky angle. I'm going back into the black to pick up more black and then bringing it out. Now I want that to be gray. Honestly, this whole thing's gonna be gray, so. There's one way of doing it. My brush is a little dry. Just barely made it. Maybe a little bit more black right here. Cool. So this is like the top dot, so that means we have to do the tops of these all black too. This one is the other way, the bottom. Hold on, wait a minute, let's look at this. Bottom, bottom. Oh look, this is where it's messed up. So that's what I'm talking about. Black from the bottom, black from the bottom. Oops. Black from the top, black from the top, black from the top, black from the top. So this one's going from the top. That means this one, these should all be from the top as well. Easy to get mixed up. Almost let that sit there for too long. let's just do all these spots so there's no more screw ups. A lot of water there. Whoa, take it easy. It's okay, we're gonna paint it out. So if there's too much water, just get all the water out of your brush, and then the brush will absorb some of that water back. That's pretty good. Rehydrate a little bit. Looking good. Just smoothing it out. There we go. Okay, let's continue. These smaller ones are easy. Cleaning the brush pretty much after every fade will clean the brush off. Though almost too much black. Lift some of that back into the brush after I dried it. I'm like whip shading this out with a clean brush that's slightly damp. Get some black off. That's good. Same deal. Boom. Cruising along. Very dry. But you just need like a little bit, so that's all you need. Calling it good. Cool, now we're set up right here. Let's just pull this fade now this way. So almost a little bit too much water. I mean, too much black, because it's like a bead. You don't want it to be a bead. You just want it to be wet, but not a puddle. Completely clean brush. Just fading it out a little bit. Cool. center right here. Too much black, wipe some off. The design, these spots are intentional as far as how far down this line is, because it makes putting the shading in easier. You're using them to fill up space, or to break apart space. So that way when you go to fill in the rest of the design, it's easier to do so. So you can see, like on this, the highlight is pretty consistent almost all the way. And so where the black is, it's like pretty much from corner to corner of each point. So like if you're doing a tattoo of that, boom, you just nicely hit those areas. That's what I like about traditional, is that the design is like tailored for the, like, I don't know how to describe it. What should I say? It's hard to think and paint at the same time. You're making the design based on the tool that you're using and like the technique of which to put that design in. So you're designing it knowing like the limitations of the tool, or like the ease of the technique. When you have the design set up properly, the technique, it makes the technique easier. Because I'm not trying to do a fade that's like this long. I'm doing a fade that's this long because of the way the design is broken up. I just don't know where I'm going with this part, if I want to go all the way to there or not. I don't think so. It's already almost dry. When you're pushing a U shape, that's pretty easy fade to do, because that's what your hand naturally wants to do anyways. Play it like that. See, boom, right to that tip. So I like pre-wetted this out, which some people like to do. They'll get the paper wet and then start making it fade, because you can see it almost starts fading itself. I don't always do that. Sometimes it works that way. sometimes for like a large gradient, it works a lot better. It's like wet on wet watercolor painting. I just pulled that out so it's a little bit easier to blend in. Might as well. Didn't want hard lines. Right to there, bring it across. Pick up some more black. Okay, time to blend it. Time to clean the brush. I'm probably tweaking out on this. It's probably fine. You can kind of overdo it. I usually do. That line just is bugging me. Okay, let's leave it. I think the FW looks better for like short fades like this. A little tight right there. Okay, where else can we go? How about here? Oh wait, hold on, it feels wet. We're getting a little crazy there. It's still wet right here. That's the worst, when you get your own handprint everywhere. Let's work somewhere else where it's not wet. How about that? Make sure there's no paint. This brush is starting to get a little haggard. I got like a piece hanging off. Nothing worse than having the brush, little piece of the brush like dangling and get a weird line on your painting. I feel like in these videos I paint quicker with less like attention to the detail than if I were just painting. because I'm also kind of talking, because I noticed that there's like, doesn't look like perfect in through some of these areas. Maybe I would spend more time like trying to make it look a little more precise if I wasn't like talking and making a video. The cat hair. It's almost too much, too close to that. It's very tight through there. Probably could have pulled back a little bit in the design. I'm gonna leave it. Okay, what else do we have left? The head. Make sure I'm still recording here. Let's bring it all the way to here. I'm like making basically a bead of gray wash on the edge of this, where by pulling black into it. And then once I see the color that the gray is turning, okay, it's a little dark. It's time to clean the brush. And now just erase the edge of the gray. I'm getting a little sloppy here. Oh, my dog's gonna start barking because my family's home. Bark warning. he's not barking yet, but he did leave the room, so. Starting to get hungry for lunch here. Getting kind of shaky. I might break this up and go eat and come back, finish it later. Now we're almost done. Let's just make this gray wash now. I'm gonna go get new water because we're making gray and this is already pretty dirty, so let's get some new water. Bear with me. All right. I'm gonna empty this, slurp up what is left of the black, squirt it back in there so I'm not wasting anything. Let's go. I'm gonna do 1 drop of black. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, my family just got home, but let's see here. Okay, let's see. 1 part black to 7 parts water. Might be too dark. Let's see what it looks like when it dries. See what it looks like when it dries, and then I'll be the judge to see if that's too dark or not. So it's a little dark. Let's try 3 more drops of water. 1, 2, 3. Let's do 4. Yep, my kid is home. It's looking better. That feels right. That feels right. Let's roll with this. So I'm not going to get too much of this on the brush here. Let's go here. So I'm basically just painting solid, and I'm going to leave a little skin gap or highlight. I'm going to pause this real quick. Okay. Instead of, so I did the line and then I filled it, but I think I'm going to kind of fill first and just then leave the line. I don't know. It's sometimes if you do a line and then fill it in, it can look inconsistent, but I don't know. Let's try it on this one. We're almost there. We're almost through this. Let's finish it together. And pretty much one pass when you're painting with the gray wash in this manner, because the more you layer it, the more black pigment there is going to be on the paper, and therefore the darker the gray is going to be. So I pretty much just paint like a bead of it on there. I don't want it to be like beaded up on the paper like this, so I'm going to pull back some of that. So you just dry the brush off and then put the brush into the paint where you have too much paint or water, and it will absorb into the brush and remove from the paper. And that was 2 passes. Hopefully that one isn't too dark. Got a little crazy there. Drying it off. Now I'm removing some of that extra. Okie dokie. Let's do these ones. It's too much wetness. Let's pull it out here. Too much here. Too much wetness on the paper. This is like an awkward way for me to paint these scales in, but I'm kind of cramped on this table. And I'm really getting hungry for lunch, so I'm getting a little bit more shaky. It's getting weird. Okay, I gotta turn it. I gotta turn the paper. It was getting too weird. Yep. Yeah, buddy. I guess on these ones I kind of left a little bit less gap. There's a cat here. Hopefully these don't end up looking weird. I'm kind of like blending it in there because if, like I said, if I did a complete another layer on top of these, it would be too dark. Okay, let's say that's good. I kind of went outside that line there. Let's see if I could push it back in. Cool. The brush is very dry as far as how much gray's on it. Just a little tiny bit. You don't want it like a big glob. just a little bit, so it almost dries instantly. Okay, and a couple little pinholes here and there. Okay, and I'd say we can call that good. Cool. Right on. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.